All right, welcome back, everyone. Today we are embarking on a very specific, very structured, and I have to say, a very obsessive kind of journey.
We are, yeah. We're not just talking about music today. We're entering what's been called the album quest.
The album quest, exactly. It's this massive project from a reviewer named Greensterox, and the full title says it all, really. The album quest, the search for the best album of all time.
And it's that search that's key. This isn't just a list. It's an attempt to apply almost a scientific discipline to something that's totally subjective.
It really is. I mean, think about it. How do you find the best album? It's an impossible question.
It is. But this quest, it tries to answer it by forcing a choice. It applies these hard, almost unforgiving rules to what is, for most of us, a purely emotional decision.
And the commitment here is just, wow. You're talking about one person, one massive music library, and this decision to just dive in and make everything compete.
Yeah, and you see these genres clash that have no business being in the same room. I mean, how do you genuinely compare, say, a gentle jazz record from the 70s with a super modern, super heavy hard rock album from just a couple of years ago?
You don't. Most people would just say, well, it depends on my mood, or, that's apples and oranges.
Exactly. But the whole point of the album quest is that it removes the shrug. You can't say it depends. You have to choose.
And that's the hook for us today, right? To see how that structure, those rules, can be applied to something as fluid and personal as music taste.
It forces the reviewer to actually justify why. Why, in this specific head-to-head battle, one album is functionally, demonstrably better than another. It demands an explanation.
So let's get into those rules, the methodology, because it's not just a random pick. It's what's been called a musical World Cup.
And that's the perfect way to describe it. It's built quite literally on the Football World Cup tournament structure.
So how does that work? How are the groups formed?
It's pure, beautiful chaos. Albums are just randomly thrown into groups of 4. There's no seeding, no genre protection. It's completely arbitrary.
And that's the genius of it, isn't it? That randomness creates these bizarre matchups we're about to look at.
It's the genius and the cruelty. You could get a group of death with 4 stone-cold classics, and 2 of them have to go home in the first round.
Which is brutal.
Yeah.
So they're in a group. What's the judging process like? It's not just a casual listen, is it?
Oh, not at all.
Yeah.
This isn't background music while you're doing chores. The albums in a group are listened to back to back.
Several times.
Several times, often in quick succession. It's an intense comparative listening session. And that's designed to highlight everything: production, songwriting, momentum.
Momentum. I feel like that's going to be a key word today.
It's crucial when you hear albums one after another. Any dip in energy, any dull moment, it becomes glaringly obvious.
So after all that, each album is ranked.
Yep. Graded from 1st to 4th.
Yeah.
And the stakes are incredibly high. Top 2 go on to the next round.
And the bottom 2.
They're out. Gone. Eliminated from the quest for good.
Wow. So a truly great album could get knocked out just by drawing a tough group.
Absolutely. It could be the 3rd best album in a group of masterpieces, and it's toast. It's all about performance on the day in that specific competitive environment.
Okay, so with that framework in mind, today we are zoning in on one specific battle. Round 1, Group 236.
A fascinating group. 4 wildly different albums walked in. Only 2 walked out.
And this is where we get to see the methodology in action, in all its brutal glory.
It really is a clash of genres. You have Whitesnake, which is, peak 80s rock. Then you have Alter Bridge, which is very modern, very intricate hard rock.
And then the 2 outliers.
Complete outliers.
Yeah.
George Benson with this super mellow 70s jazz rock thing, and then Muse with their grand theatrical anthem rock.
It's an incredible mix. So our mission for this album quest is to really pull apart the details.
Yeah.
To understand the criteria that sent 2 of these records packing and pushed the other 2 through.
Let's meet the contenders.
Let's do it. When you look at the 4 albums in Group 236, the first thing that hits you is just how different they are.
It's shocking, really. You've got a greatest hits compilation going up against 3 original studio albums. And they span, 45 years of music?
It immediately sets up this central question. What wins? Is it the focused nostalgia of a greatest hits package? Or is it the artistic cohesion of a proper album?
A fantastic question. Let's start with the one that feels like the heavyweight in the room. The hair metal powerhouse, Whitesnake, with their greatest hits.
Okay, so this isn't just any compilation. There's specific focus here.
A very specific focus. This collection is extremely America-centric. It's laser-focused on the stuff that made them huge in the mid-'80s in the USA.
So we're talking power ballads, MTV smashes.
Exactly. The goal of this track list is maximum commercial impact, not a comprehensive artistic history. It's designed to be a knockout punch of hits.
And yet the reviewer, Greensterox, he has a critique right out of the gate, doesn't he? He says that this narrow focus is a little bit of a shame.
He does. And that's an immediate point of tension. He's acknowledging its power, its hit-making ability, but he's also implying it's incomplete. A truly greatest hits would probably have a wider scope, you know? It would include some of that earlier, bluesier stuff that was good in the UK and Europe.
So it's a paradox.
Yeah.
It's incredibly strong because of its focus, but that same focus is also its biggest flaw.
Precisely. It's a commercial monster, but maybe not the full artistic story. And we'll see how that plays out.
Okay, so from the 80s powerhouse, we jump forward in time to the modern standard bearer for hard rock in this group, Alter Bridge.
Right, with their 2022 album, Pawns and Kings. This is their 7th studio album, which is, I mean, that's impressive longevity right there.
2 decades they've been at it.
And this is where the source material does something really cool. It connects the band to this wider debate in music theory right now.
The Rick Beato thing?
Yeah, the Rick Beato thing. He's made this really controversial claim that bands no longer exist.
Meaning what, exactly? That the model of 4 or 5 people in a room writing and recording together is dead.
That's the argument, that it's all session musicians and producers now. But Alter Bridge, they're the living, breathing counter-argument. 2 decades, 7 albums, consistent lineup. They are proof that the traditional rock band is still a very potent, very vibrant thing.
And their sound is defined as what? A mix of hard rock and
progressive metal.
And that modern, relentless energy is going to be a really interesting contrast to the other albums.
Absolutely. Okay, so next up we have Muse, The Resistance.
Muse, theatrical, ambitious. They're aiming for the stars with their sound.
Always. Arena rock that wants to be an opera. They're trying to elevate the form with all these classical influences.
But the reviewer here is not entirely sold.
Not at all. And the critique is pretty brutal, to be honest. He says Muse has never fully convinced him, and he defines them with one word: inconsistent.
Ouch. For a band this big, that's a killer. It suggests they have these moments of brilliance, but they can't sustain it across a whole album.
Right. And he acknowledges their skill. He calls them a technically competent outfit with interesting guitar anthem rock material. They've got the chops, they've got the vision.
Especially on this record, where the goal was to fully meld classical piano and high-tempo rock.
And he even says they do it with some success. So they're trying something huge, something grand. But as we're going to find out in the album quest, pure technical skill doesn't guarantee you a spot in the next round.
You have to turn that skill into consistent competitive impact.
That's the word, impact.
Okay, finally. The curveball.
Yeah.
The absolute outlier of the group.
The gentle giant. George Benson with his 1977 album In Flight, and it's the vinyl version, which is a nice detail.
This feels like the anti-competition album. It's not here to fight.
Not at all. It's described as one of the most gentle albums a reviewer owns. It's got this incredibly calming, laid-back sound. It's that classic 70s jazz rock crossover. It's smooth. It's for relaxing, not for a rock contest.
But this is where the methodology gets so interesting. The reviewer admits something huge about this album.
This is the key insight. He says he never thought he would like this album.
That's massive. He's admitting a personal bias against the genre, and that this record overcame it. It converted him.
And that proves the quest is working. It's forcing the reviewer to challenge his own tastes. If an album this gentle, this far outside his comfort zone, performs well, it means raw quality, even quiet quality, can compete with sheer volume.
So the stage is set. We have 2 albums built for loudness and impact.
Whitesnake and Alter Bridge.
One built for technical ambition.
Muse.
And one built for just chilling out.
George Benson. It's the ultimate test of whether pure intensity is a prerequisite for victory.
All right, so let's get to the results. In a group so stacked with loud, high-impact rock, maybe it's not a huge surprise that the 2 heaviest albums took the top 2 spots.
It feels a bit inevitable, doesn't it? But the reasons they won are what's so telling. It really shows the difference between, say, overwhelming power and just perfect execution.
And Whitesnake's greatest hits just steamrolled the competition. It took first place.
Absolutely dominated. It was a victory of pure, unadulterated 80s hair metal confidence. And despite the compilation's flaws, which we talked about, in a head-to-head listening test, it was just irresistible.
The review is pretty clear that it was the sheer number of huge 80s metal anthems that just sealed the deal.
Yeah, this wasn't an album for deep cuts or, subtle experiments. It was just firepower. It was hit after hit after hit. And when you're listening back to back, Whitesnake just provides these massive, undeniable hooks that the other albums couldn't match for instant gratification.
So let's talk specifics. The review highlights a few standout tracks.
It does, and they're the absolute pillars of that era. You've got Still of the Night. I mean, that opening riff is just iconic. It's pure drama.
And Love Ain't No Stranger.
The ultimate arena rock groove. You can't not move to that track. And then there's the big emotional one, Now You're Gone. These three songs alone represent the absolute peak of that mid to late 80s Whitesnake sound. David Coverdale's voice is just on another level.
But the review points to one specific song, or rather, one specific version of a song, as being decisive.
Yes. This is a fascinating detail. Greens to Rocks makes this definitive statement that the version of Here I Go Again, 87 on this compilation is the best version.
Now, why is that so important in a competition? It's just one song.
It speaks volumes about the quality of the package itself. So Whitesnake recorded that song a few times. The original from 82 is much more bluesy, a bit rougher. The 87 version was re-recorded for the American market.
It's the slick one.
It's the super slick, keyboard-heavy, MTV-ready version. And when the reviewer says this is the best one, he's praising the specific production and mastering on this compilation. He's saying this package delivered the ultimate, most impactful auditory experience of that iconic song.
And that's a huge point in a comparative listen.
A massive point. And you can't forget the balance either. It wasn't all aggression. It had the defining power ballad of the era, Is This Love?
Right, so you get the high-energy metal, the huge ballads, and a definitive version of their biggest song. It's a killer combination.
It's basically a perfect snapshot of what that genre promised, delivered flawlessly. The tracks are pulled almost exclusively from that golden trio of albums, Slide It In, 1987, and Slip of the Tongue. For the reviewer, that sound, that era, just had too much power to be denied.
Okay, so it won. But it wasn't a perfect victory. We have to come back to the flaws. The compilation has these two bonus tracks.
Right, Sweet Lady Luck and You're Gonna Break My Heart Again, previously unreleased stuff.
And the verdict on them.
They're called the weakest tracks here. So even the winner had some filler. They fit the sound, they weren't totally out of place, but they definitely represented a dip in quality.
Which shows how closely he's listening. Every single track is being judged.
Every single one. But more important than the bonus tracks was the other critique, the missing gems.
One's left off because of that U.S.-centric focus. He specifically calls out Ain't No Love in the Heart of the City and Walking in the Shadow of the Blues.
Essential, iconic, early Whitesnake tracks for anyone outside of America. Their absence proves the compilation isn't perfect, just perfectly powerful for its chosen mission.
And there was one more specific track choice he had an issue with.
Fool for Your Loving. This is a great detail. The compilation uses the 1989 re-recording from Slip of the Tongue,
which he thinks is inferior.
Vastly inferior to the original from 1980. The 89 version is faster, glossier. It's got Steve Vai shredding all over it. The original is slower, heavier, much more rooted in blues rock.
So by picking the 89 version, the compilation is doubling down on that American hair metal aesthetic.
Exactly. It's sacrificing the band's roots for that slick 80s sound. So think about this. Whitesnake took first place despite having weaker bonus tracks and making a questionable choice on a key song. That's how strong the rest of the material was. It just overwhelmed the flaws.
Incredible. Okay, so moving on to second place, Alter Bridge with Pawns and Kings. This is the modern victory, proving that a contemporary rock album can absolutely hang with a legacy act.
And they got there through pure technical skill and sustained modern intensity. This album is all about polish and power.
The review breaks down their sound profile. Powerful vocals, intricate guitar work, and
well-crafted songs.
Yeah.
That last part is key. It's not just technical wizardry for its own sake. It's all in service of the song.
But the technical edge is what really makes them stand out, especially against the kind of raw, bluesy DNA that's still somewhere in Whitesnake. Let's talk about the guitar work.
Mark Tremonti's guitar playing, yeah.
Right.
The reviewer makes a very specific and slightly alarming comparison. He says it can stray a little into Dragon Force territory here and there.
Okay, unpack that for us. What does Dragon Force territory mean to the average listener?
Dragon Force is basically the gold standard for speed and complexity in metal. They're famous for these ridiculously fast, almost video game-like guitar solos. It's technically dazzling, but it can sometimes feel a bit soulless. All flash, no feeling.
So if Alter Bridge is heading into that territory, they're flirting with disaster. They're risking becoming too technical, too.
Yeah.
Showy,
Exactly, they're walking a very fine line, but then comes the crucial qualifier, the phrase that explains why they succeeded. The reviewer says the album never gets cheesy.
That's the secret sauce.
That's everything. If
Yeah.
they'd gone full Dragon Force, they might have ended up like Muse All Ambition, not enough substance. But Alter Bridge keeps it grounded. They have the insane technicality, the fast solos, the complex rhythms, but Miles Kennedy's vocals are so strong and soulful, and the song structures are so solid that it never feels like just a guitar exercise.
So the technicality is a tool, not the whole point.
Perfectly put. It serves the song, it enhances the power, and that keeps the listener emotionally engaged.
It sounds like that balance is what pushed them through. The review summary says the album sounds pretty cool and powers through. That sense of momentum again.
Constant forward momentum. That's what wins in these back-to-back listening sessions. When you put it up against the beautiful calm of George Benson or the sometimes faltering ambition of Muse, the relentless, high-impact, and super consistent power of Alter Bridge was just superior. High fidelity, high impact, and critically, no dull spots.
Okay, so now we have to turn to the Fallen, the two albums that didn't make the cut, Muse and George Benson.
And this is where the methodology gets really interesting because they both brought something very unique to the table.
But uniqueness wasn't enough.
No. This part of the review really highlights the disconnect between, say, technical skill or peaceful beauty and what it actually takes to win in this kind of competition. Quality alone is not enough. It has to be the right kind of quality.
Let's start with George Benson's In Flight, which came in a very respectable third place. It was so close.
Agonizingly close. This was the little album the conversion attempt that almost toppled a modern rock giant.
And its main weapon was its calming appeal. The review talks about being able to get lost to its calming sound.
Which, for a reviewer who listens to a lot of heavy rock and metal, is a huge compliment. It shows the album successfully crossed genre lines and worked purely on atmosphere and musicianship. That's powerful stuff.
It even had success with a full-on jazz instrumental, which has to be a tough sell in a rock-heavy group.
A very tough sell. But the track, Valdez in the Country, is described as quite nice, which again, coming from this reviewer, is high praise. It shows a genuine appreciation for the craft, for the sophisticated arrangement.
But the real star of the show, the track that almost single-handedly won the fight for second place, was the closer.
Everything Must Change. This song is framed as the emotional core of the whole experience. It's called The Most Impressive Thing Here and a somewhat glorious creation.
This was the track that converted the reviewer.
Completely. The review states that this one song was powerful enough to convert even the most ardent resistance to Benson's laid-back jazz rock guitar style.
That's an incredible statement. One song completely changed his opinion of an artist. It almost made a quiet jazz album a contender against a metal onslaught.
Almost. And that's the heartbreaking part. In the end, it just wasn't enough.
Why did it fail? It sounds like it had moments of true greatness.
It comes down to competitive physics. Those moments of greatness couldn't overcome the relentless, sustained momentum of the two winners. It's like a beautiful, expertly crafted sailboat in a race against two speedboats.
A great analogy.
Despite its undeniable quality, the review concludes, In Flight was not quite enough to topple the quality metal onslaught from Whitesnake and Alter Bridge. When you're forced to choose, minute by minute, between sublime calm and overwhelming power, the power just has a huge advantage. The format itself favors intensity.
Which brings us to last place, fourth place. Muse is the Resistance. This, to me, is the biggest shock of the group.
It's a huge shock. You have a global stadium-filling band renowned for their ambition and technical skill coming in dead last. It's a critical failure.
And it seems to boil down to that word we heard earlier. Inconsistency. The ambition faltered.
It really did. And the review points to a few specific details. It starts with the very first track, the title track, The Resistance.
What about it?
It has a hook that apparently sounds exactly like the theme tune from the classic sci-fi show Doctor Who.
You're kidding.
Nope. And that's such a bizarre, memorable detail. It immediately frames the album in this slightly theatrical, maybe even unintentionally kitschy space.
It almost sounds like a moment of comedy that pulls you out of the experience.
It could, yeah. And remember, this was the album where they were trying to fully meld classical piano and high-tempo rock. They were going for this grand, progressive, complex statement.
But ambition is a double-edged sword in a competition like that.
It's a massive risk, because if you aim for the stars and miss, you fall a long way. The reviewer is fair. He says parts of the album sound pretty cool. The skill is there, the production is there.
But
The fatal flaw. The album falters and gets a bit too dull in places.
What does dull even mean in this context? For a band like Muse, it's not like their songs are boring, are they?
It's not about being boring in a traditional sense. It's about a failure of momentum.
There's that word again.
It's everything in this format. Think about it. You're listening to Whitesnake and Alter Bridge, and it's just this constant high-energy barrage. Then you switch to Muse. And maybe there's a slow conceptual piano interlude or a track that's a bit too long and doesn't quite stick the landing.
And that drop in intensity is just glaring.
It's fatal. Those moments where the energy sags, where the momentum is lost, they get heavily penalized when you're comparing them directly to albums that never let up. The reviewer isn't just judging the good parts, he's judging the entire continuous experience.
And that failure to sustain the energy to keep the excitement going, that's what killed them.
It's exactly what killed them. When you stack it up against the consistent power of Alter Bridge and the hit parade nostalgia of Whitesnake, those lapses into dullness were enough to sink the whole ship.
And the final ranking confirms it. George Benson's quiet jazz album beat Muse.
The summary is definitive. It says, In Flight came in slightly ahead of the Resistance, which proves that, in this battle at least, it was better to be consistently gentle than intermittently brilliant.
That's a harsh lesson. Muse's dips in quality hurt them more than Benson's entire genre being a mismatch for the group.
It's a testament to consistency. You have to nail the landing on every single track, or the heavy rock machine is just going to run you over.
So let's wrap this up. Round 1, Group 236. A true battle royal.
It really was, and it gave us a very clear, if maybe a little brutal idea of what this album quest format rewards.
So let's read out the final definitive rankings one more time.
Go for it.
In first place, advancing to the next round, Greatest Hits by Whitesnake.
The 80s supreme hair metal machine.
In second place, also advancing, Pawns and Kings by Alter Bridge.
The modern intricate hard rock standard.
And eliminated, in third place, In Flight by George Benson.
The gentle jazz rock contender.
And in fourth place, also eliminated, The Resistance by Muse.
The inconsistent anthem rock.
The two winners really couldn't be clearer statements for their genres, could they?
No, they're both monuments to their specific eras of powerful, high-impact rock music. One legacy, one modern, but both totally committed to what they are.
So what does this outcome tell us? What was the deciding factor here?
At the end of the day, it was a definitive victory for intense, established rock and metal. It was a straight win for pure, sustained power and genre conviction over everything else.
Over the peaceful immersion of Benson and over the ambitious but flawed theatricality of Muse.
Exactly. This group proved that both a legacy collection focused on commercial hits like Whitesnake and a powerful modern force like Alter Bridge have what it takes to win. The common thread is that they both delivered a relentlessly high-impact experience from start to finish. They've never lost that competitive momentum.
Which raises some fascinating questions about the whole methodology, doesn't it? It almost feels biased towards a certain kind of album.
You could definitely argue that. If you put an album of unique, peaceful beauty like Benson's, or one of high-minded technical competence like Muse's, up against two genre-defining rock behemoths, well, the deck is kind of stacked against them, isn't it?
The structure itself seems to favor the immediate, the loud, and the consistently energetic.
It does, and that brings us to the provocative thought for you, the listener, to take away from all this.
Go on.
If technical brilliance and unique, calming beauty were not enough to even get out of the first round against pure rock intensity, what qualities does a truly best album of all time even need to have?
That's a great question. To win a competition like this, does an album need to have that unrelenting intensity? Does it have to be flawless with zero dull spots? Does it need to be the absolute peak of its chosen genre?
The album quest seems to demand a kind of perfection, or at least a relentless, sustained excellence that very, very few albums can actually achieve.